of the MDC who was not nominated by the people of Zimbabwe. You are not even nominated by anyone. All the 10 provinces in the country, they didn't nominate you. So right now, you are just you thank God you use that. You use that.
The silly season is upon us. That time when politicians take the limelight, where anything happens, anything can be done just to win the votes. This is the 2023 general elections, August 23, where Zimbabweans will go to the polls to elect a president, a legislator, and a councillor. And already the political gamesmanship has started. Here on this, the Free Talk, we give you the reason why you should care. We give you the reason why it should matter to you. This is the Free Talk with me, your host as usual, Dara Blessed Mhlanga, and we're talking politics. Stupid. Join me after this break. Welcome back to this, The Free Talk with me, your host Dara Bimhlang, in proud partnership with the Frederick Newman Foundation for Freedom. Now, as we head towards what could be a watershed general election, Zimbabweans are getting excited. But just last week, a card was pulled from underneath the MDCT leader Douglas Monora when the former MDCT chairperson and now Secretary for Peace and Reconciliation Morgan Komichi held a press conference and declared his interest in running for presidency. Now, he joins me in studio this week to discuss democracy, politics, and people ahead of the elections. Thank you very much, Senator Komichi, for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
And also greetings to every listener who is on the line at the moment.
Senator Komichi, you have broken away from Douglas Monora at this last hour. Why?
I have moved away from Douglas Monora because that's not the politics in my blood. The politics that Douglas Monora is leading is not the one that is in my veins. I am an opposition leader who holds the government of the day accountable. For the last 23 years, I've held the Zimbabwean government accountable, even during the Mugabe time, even up to President Mnangagwa's time, I've held them accountable. And this drastically changed when Monora became the MDC president. And I tried in my level best to advise. I think on record, you know, I was the only MDC senator or a member of parliament who opposed the amendments bills. The number one, number two bills. I am the only MDC senator who stood against the PVO bill. And I am the only senator or among a few who has never gone to the State House, who has never attended the Hero Shaker or the Independence. Not that I don't respect the Hero Shaker or I don't respect the Independence. I really respect them very much. But as an opposition leader, you must not confuse the people. Because the moment you start to associate with the Zanu PF leadership in public, what then happens is the general public will misinterpret and they will simply feel and think and conclude that you are selling out the struggle. And the Zimbabwe has got a history of Abel Mzorewa, who was found to be making deals with Ian Douglas Smith when the struggle was at its peak. This is the time for the opposition leaders to put their efforts together to demand a positive change in the country, in such as political reforms, electoral reforms, and economic reforms for the benefit of the people.
Douglas Monora has been at the helm of the MDC for a long time, if it's not 2 years or 3 years now. And you have been following him. Why this Damascus moment?
The Damascus moment came as a strategic timing. But I've always said, time is determined by the Lord. Usually we can try to show to you and the entire world. I've never attended Douglas Monora's meeting from December, not even one. Although he appointed me into the standing committee, there's no record that I've attended the meetings, which shows I was resisting. I was not feeling it. I didn't want to be part and parcel of the leadership, which is perceived to be Zanu PF by the public.
But that's the leadership that the MDC chose,
yes,
is it not?
Yes, of course.
So you're against the people of MDC?
The choice as well. I don't want to waste time on the past, but the leadership of Douglas Monora, as he stands now as the president of MDC, was bogusly done. Many people have asked me, why are you saying that yet you chaired every key important meeting of the processes? I wanted to establish evidence. I never approved any of them. And in any of those meetings, it was myself, Senator Mthuli, and the young man Vincent Tsvangirai. We stood against every decision that was made, but we were in a minority. Remember, he had constructed his so-called standing committee from his personal friends, whom he had awarded certain positions. So they would approve anything that would have been suggested by Douglas Monzora as to rig the election process, the Congress processes. So it was so frustrating. Then people differ in strategies. Others would make noise, others would go cool, others would pretend as if they are fools, but yet they are planning. So I know Comrade Marara and Comrade Mthuli went public to express their anger. I contained my temper.
But you once went public just after your EGM.
After the EOC.
Yes.
Also after the by-elections.
Not after the by-elections, after the EOC, when you held a press conference that we covered, you sat there with Zanu PF and yourself.
Yes, that's part of the evidence. That the gentleman has never run a constitutional process as what we stood for when we went to the Supreme Court.
But someone would want to argue, Senator Komichi, that politicians are a greedy lot, including yourself. You went after self-preservation because you were afraid to lose your seat in
One
Senate.
of the things that I would not make someone play with my political career is to give somebody the, what do you call it, false fame that is in power. We didn't go in the Senate through the ticket of Monzora. We went through the Senate through the ticket of MDC Alliance and Nelson Chamisa. So to allow him to remove you from Senate is a false position. He's actually a bogus person who is going to expel you from your seat, pretending to be the leader of the organization. I mean, so it's not actually, some people do tell you that, but others will actually call it strategic. Some other people will call strategic. People define the interpretation. In my view, it was a strategy. In my view, it was a strategy. And when I came out about 4 or 5 days ago, it was the right time to me. It was the right time. It was somebody said you threw a joker, because I didn't know that Senate was going to close the following day. I didn't know, but I made a decision to come out public on the 14th of June. And on the 15th of June, the parliament was closed. So it was the timing that I was not in control of. I didn't even know. But I had made a decision by that time that I'm not prepared to cross the river, no matter how many crocodiles are in that particular river. I was determined. I did not care about the recalls. I didn't care about anyone. I had made my mind to make the move that I took.
But it's funny.
The idea that I took.
It's funny, Senator, that you say. I want you to
give you an analogy before I go back.
As you do that, I want to say it's funny that you say that you went into Parliament on the MDC Alliance with Nelson Chamisa, but you led the paging of MDC Alliance.
I'm very sorry to say that. Many people don't know how much I suffered when those people were being paged. There are certain particular members of the councillors who really touched my heart. What touched my heart? And I was affected, such as Mayor of Harare, Mayor of Gweru. I did not support that idea at all. When I strategically then stood up and said, you guys, I wanted the people not to expose themselves. When I said we will recall anyone who is supporting Chamisa, it was a strategic move. And during those days, if you go back on the record, no one was recalled. Because some politicians in MDC always wanted to do what I was not, wanted to do the opposite of what I was feeling. They did not recall anyone. Many people were preserved. When I kept quiet, the paging started again. I never supported. My strategy to the question of members of parliament and councillors who were supporting Nelson Chamisa was to engage them. That was my view, talking to them. One by one, trying to kunyenga kuti vauye kuzotisupport. That was my strategy. I don't have that kind of an evil spirit. You go to no page simply because I don't support them. I really suffered quite a lot. Many people know. There are certain C guys today who know very well how I felt about the recalls. Some of them, they can vouch for me because I was never part of the team that was so ruthless.
If I would argue that you have perennially lost in elections, and this is what is affecting you right now, what would you say?
No, it's not it. There are so many methods of killing a cat. There are so many methods of killing a cat.
You lost in your quest to be vice president in the MDC at Congress in Gweru. You also lost twice to Douglas Monzora in your effort to become president of the MDC.
But if you look at those processes, like the Douglas Monzora cannot be used as an example because it's academically wrong, because the processes were all false. But when a leader is losing certain positions in politics, you don't tire. Remember the American president who lost, one of the American presidents who lost 13 times and finally became the president of America. So it happens. When you're a leader, sometimes believe in yourself. Sometimes you are a victim of gangsters, victims of criminals who would probably gang against you.
Are you saying you're a victim of criminals?
Yes, of course.
Which criminals are these?
No, I don't want to mention the names. I don't want to really rub other people's feathers at the moment. We are going towards an election. We need each other. But I can tell you that you don't necessarily lose an election simply because people don't like you.
Senator, do you think politicians in Zimbabwe have people at heart?
No.
You don't?
You don't, no. At the moment, the opposition in Zimbabwe, my friend, is pathetic. In Zimbabwe right now, with certain incidents that would have not happened during Morgan Tsvangirai's time. The Job Sikhala case that we're talking about right now, people are comfortable with Job Sikhala being penalized for nothing. The case which Job Sikhala committed to this country is not even a quarter of what we know in terms of armed robbers, rapists, who are roaming around at the moment on bail, and they go to court coming from home. Job Sikhala, of course, he is being accused of having incited violence. But is it a case that you can fail to get bail? No, I don't think so. And that is not right. And the opposition is quiet. We got a young man who is in prison right now, Jacob Ngaruvume, 3 years. In this case, if I remember very well, it's simply because he tweeted an anti-demonstration against corruption, and he was slept with 3 years. And the opposition is quiet like water in a what's wrong? What opposition must stand up and defend those people.
But you are opposition.
Those are democratic fighters.
But
I'm not a leader. I'm not a leader. I'm going to make sure that the opposition changes his breathe energy in the opposition. I know what was done by my previous president, the late president Morgan Tsvangirai. You would not keep quiet for people, for democratic injustices, for economic injustices. At the moment, we cannot be quiet when the exchange rate is flying like that. We cannot be quiet when the cost of living is hurting people. We cannot be quiet when salaries of the civil servants are now less than $4. By the end of August, civil servants will be earning $0.1 something from their salaries. Because there is no way this government can have a solution to resolve this. It has collapsed. This government has collapsed. It's now a failed state. We are going back to the 2007 economic quagmires, and the government has failed. And the opposition is quiet. That is not right.
Senator, you sat with the government. You preached rational disputation.
No, I did not plead
you fed in the same plate with
disputation was the vision of my former leader. It's not my vision. Visions are provided for by leaders. When you are a subordinate in any organization, you don't provide vision. You contribute to the vision. But the carrier of the vision is the head. That's why there are some differences between him and me. I've told you the difference, that my behavior in parliament, my behavior in the public forum, I have not been found associating Zanu PF because I don't believe when you are an opposition leader, you must oppose the government. You must oppose the government. Do not hug or kiss the government. Do not dine with the government. You will be selling the struggle. It's very clear. I understand the opposition politics. I understand very well. That's why I have now come to a point where I'm saying enough is enough. Let me give you the analogy. If you are in a plane and you are a trained pilot, but you are a passenger on that particular day, On that same day, the pilot who is in charge of the plane is struck by a stroke. And the plane is about to plunge into into a big mountain or into an ocean. What would be a normal pilot who is a passenger do? You will jump onto the seat, remove the sick pilot, and take over control of the plane and save the people of that plane and save the plane itself. That's what I did on the 14th of June. When I saw that the political...
But you're not a passenger. You can't.
I was a passenger. I was a passenger because I was the secretary for what do you call it? What did you say? The national healing. I was a passenger. But you were a chairperson. No. You dethroned Nelson Chamisa from the NCC. When I was the national chairperson, I told you what I did to differentiate myself from politics of abuse and citizens.
No, but you dethroned.
That was another issue altogether. It was the question of constitutionalism. It was something that happened. And in any conflict,
you're the one who brought Nelson Chamisa to power as national chairperson. You're the one who dethroned him. So do you take responsibility of any of the things that you've done?
Yes, of course.
What responsibility do you take?
I need to correct things. I need correct things, isn't? I need correct things. When I supported Nelson Chamisa, he was the best foot forward for me. He was the best foot forward for that elections. I believed in that. But what I strongly believed, the young man was popular with them DC cadres. He was going to win any congresses without any problem. Why he refused, I don't even know. I tried to advise as well, young men, you can win any congress. Many people in MDC believe Tsvangirai. Let's go and fulfill the requirements of the constitution. You don't be afraid of anything. He refused. But let's not go back there. Let us not open old wounds. Let us find ourselves at this particular juncture and face the elections in peace, in love, and make sure that how can we do to make sure that the June elections the August elections are going to benefit the people of Zimbabwe. The people, what we need now in these elections and going further is the political leaders across the divide, from Zanu PF to CCC to the Movement for Democratic Change and many others, to at least for the first time to think about the people. I know the contestation at the moment is power. And where power contestation is exercised, friction, conflicts, fighting exists. I am going to have a different approach. I want us to look at the economy of the country and at least for the first time feel about the economic challenges which our people are going through. Right now, if you think and calculate salaries of the civil servants, last month they were in the average of $65,000. And if you even change them to US dollars using the RBZ rate, that is around 8,000 today, into 65 is $8. As a leader, you must feel something. You must put your ambition and your desires aside and say, let me turn around and save the people. That's my view. That's my vision. For the first time, I want to ask all of us to say, let us at least put the people's interest. The people's interest is to find ways in which we can come together as Zimbabweans.
Why should we listen to you, Senator?
You should listen to me because the vision I have is going to save you. The vision I have is going to save the mother who is at home. The vision I have is going to save the student who is the University of Zimbabwe. The vision I have is going to provide a time of stability, a time of tranquility, a time of transition, a time to rebuild the economy whilst the struggle continues to go.
But your vision has failed to save you in a political party. I mean, why would it save?
That's why I took charge of the plane.
Do you feel you're in charge?
Yes, of course, I'm in charge.
Of what?
I am so proud right now. If we had time, I could show you evidence of how provinces are responding. Within 2 days of my establishment, of my outfit, United Movement for Democratic Change, the number of the people who are offering to be candidates, if I had money, I would field 210 MPs. I could field almost 1,970 councillors. Right now, there is, within 2 days of time, I said, if this had happened 6 weeks before, we would be talking about something else. So I'm fully in charge. I'm fully in charge, and I'm saying the 2 days, and I'm feeling so buoyant like this when I'm only two days into leadership. It shows quite a lot of quite that I took a right shape.
Who is part of your leadership?
I will not divulge that, but I'm in talking terms with so many senior leaders in MDC. So many talking terms.
Are you running a secret society?
I'm not running a secret society. It's a strategy. It's a strategy. I don't believe in exposing some of the things before they are mature. It's a strategy, in my view. But I'm hopeful that this call of considering people for the first time in our elections, I'm sending to Zanu PF, I'm sending to CCC, and I'm saying to myself, this is the time leadership should show. We are not selfish. I will not put the people's lives at stake this time around. My strategy is to engage with the people. I'm going to be the voice of the people's agenda in these elections. This is the time that we must change the strategy, change the approach, and make sure that power, yes, but let's look at the lives of our people. Lives of our people. They've suffered.
On the by-elections on 26 March, people showed you that you had stood in the wrong path. You had fought against their voice when you re-established the 2014 structures. And they accuse you of being selfish.
Yes, they did.
I
was one of the people who immediately after the 26 March by-elections went public. Remember that you were the one who sent me that audio. You were the first person that particular day to send me the audio. And I was admitting, we've been rejected by the people, let us investigate. And the people that have rejected us, is the general public. Let's go and find out from them, why have you rejected us? And they told us, the research came back, and they told us, you are Zanu PF light, you are the Mzorewas, you are associating Zanu PF, you are no longer performing the true opposition politics which Tsvangirai left for you. And I took that. I listened to that research, and that is why today I am back on the fore. I am back on the fore.
Do you sometimes listen to the things that you say before you say them?
What are you saying, Dara? What are you saying? Can you explain?
You at one point at a press conference that I covered, Senator, you said that you knew Nelson Chamisa was not going to go anyway. You knew that he was going to an end. Right now here you're telling me that you knew Chamisa at that time was the best foot forward. Now exactly where
why are you contrasting the two? You asked me, why did you support Chamisa to be on the throne?
But you knew
he was the best foot forward.
But you also said at a press conference that when you were supporting him, you knew he was going to.
He was the best foot forward. And my advice was that let's go for the congresses as the party constitution. There's nothing to fear. He found it otherwise, isn't it? He found it otherwise. And that failure to hold the EOC, that is where we went to. We differed.
As we go into this election, Senator, who do you think is the best foot forward?
I am the best foot forward because I got the vision. I got a strong vision, which I strongly believe will resolve the economic challenges of this country. I got a strong vision, which I want to serve the people. And I got a strong vision, which is going to be, which has got an answer to the economic challenges. One thing that which is causing the problems of Zimbabwe and Africa is the governing structure that we are using. The governing structure that was developed by Ian Douglas Smith and his masters is what we inherited when we came from war. The government structure that was designed by Ian Douglas Smith was catering for 200,000 whites, and they were living luxuriously. When we came from the war, we forgot to change the governing structure to make it inclusive of the black majority. the governance structure by the whites, by them, was exclusive of the black majority. As a result, governments in Africa are failing to take care of the black majority because they continue to use the Western type of governance system that was left by the colonial masters. It is like this room, my friend. This room can take care of 50 people. If you do not expand this room, if you want to add 10 more people, they will have to stand outside. So the 20,000 people are still enjoying in Zimbabwe, in the black government of Zimbabwe. The majority, the 60 million, continue to languish in abject poverty because the governance system that we inherited is not going to be inclusive of them. So my vision is about creating a governance system that is inclusive, a governance system that will cater for the majority. And we have the experience. Right now in the whole world, in Africa, I can challenge you to point at one particular country in Africa which is developing proportional to its power in national resources. None. All of Africa. And that does not mean that blacks cannot think, because they are using old archaic systems of governance which are being rejected even in the whole world. Right now, the only country that is maintaining the old archaic winner-take-all systems, which are the one that I'm attacking right now, it's America. But if you check the 3.5 years that the Americans have been running the government today, Joe Biden and Trump, they are each at the throat because they are using a system of exclusion. Winner-take-all systems is exclusive in nature. In Shona Shaisano. And when you introduce Shaisano Pana, and Kabuda Muno Shaisai Dara, fit. So the governance system that we're using in Zimbabwe and most of the African countries are exclusionary. And as a result, they create conflicts. They are prone to civil wars, and they are prone to abject poverty. So we must develop Afrocentric systems, Afrocentric governance systems that are inclusive in nature. We must go back to our roots and say, how can we modernize our systems that we used to take care of our people before? For an example, in the valley they say, Elima, or in Shona speaking people, they say Nimbe. These are Afrocentric systems that we can look into and modernize them. But if you look at the characteristics of Nimbe or Ilima, it used to take care of the vulnerables by that time. They take care of the people that had no plows, that had no cattle, or single mothers or single fathers. That system would take care of the economic structure of the community. And that system also is an Afrocentric strategic economic systems that made sure that as long as there was good seasonal rain, there was no one who was going to suffer. So when the colonization took place, we abandoned the system and adopted the Western type of system that was designed for the minority. And the minority, even in Zimbabwe today, they are the ones that are happy, but they are now blacks. So I have a vision, which I think within 100 days of my presidency, I will make sure that I put up a system that is inclusive. And I got evidence in history. In the entire Africa today, the only man who has adopted the vision that I'm talking about now is Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame has run his executive, his cabinet with more than 8-9 political parties. And as a result, there are 3 core values that would constitute a government that would be inclusive. The government of Zinji are unity, peace, and shared vision. So Paul Kagame's government runs with political parties that will participate in the election, simply for him to achieve unity, peace, and shared vision, so that they will move together in as far as economic development is concerned. He has realized one thing. Science taught us. Newton's law said, where 2 forces of equal magnitude interact in opposite direction, there will be no motion. What comes out there is friction, and the heat is sometimes fire. Similarly, in a governance system as well, where the ruling party and the opposition are of equal magnitude and interact in opposite direction, there shall be no economic motion. What is going to result there is friction, civil war, and abject poverty. This is why the entire Africa today is in abject poverty, is in civil wars, because we failed to learn from the science that we went to school for. We failed to develop systems that would cater for that. Many people have gone to school, and listen, many people have been indoctrinated by the Western democracy, and we have become slaves of the Western democracy, and we do believe that what we've learned to school is correct. I say no.
But Senator, you're now delivering a lecture. What I want to say to Senator is, what if I say that you're wasting your 20,000 United States dollars for presidential candidacy? You'd rather be in university lecturing peace. What would you say?
You see the problem that we have now in the entire Africa. We went to school under the Western ideologies, and we have the task to start the new revolution. The new revolution to change the mindset from the colonial captivity which we are. Africa, from South Africa, Cape Town to what do you call it, to Cairo, we have been colonized. Mentality, we are subject of colonialism, and we need new leadership to undo that, to free our mindset. I can tell you right now and challenge you on the podium, Africa is not yet independent. Africa is not yet free right now. We are captives of colonialism. We are not. I want you to I am prepared to lecture this concept that I have to the whole of Africa, to say that Africa is not yet independent. So Africa is not freedom. The presidents of Africa today are not independent.
Do you think presidency is the right place to lecture?
The presidents of Africa right now are not yet independent. They are all remote controlled by the Western world. They are remote controlled. They don't have independent decisions. And what do you know why? Because we are running on a borrowed governance system. Africa must develop what we call Afrocentric Governance system, which has got our culture and identity and our originality. Until we develop an Afrocentric governance system, Africa is not yet independent. Senator, right now, as I speak today, African leaders are not independent.
Okay, Senator, can you answer my question now?
Well, what is the question, brother?
Do you not think that you're wasting your 20,000 United States?
I'm not wasting, because the vision I have shall benefit the people of Zimbabwe. They might fail to appreciate now, but with the time they will. What I do believe, what I have as a vision would benefit Zimbabweans, not only Zimbabweans, but Africans. Where I've interacted with many people on this vision, including my in Senate, I presented this argument. And the response from the Minister of Legal Affairs was very positive after presenting this vision that I have. So this is the vision I believe we can now roll out to Africa and to Zimbabwe first. We must change systems. Governance systems must be changed to Afrocentric systems.
In 2017,
Western systems have enslaved us. Most people have acquired degrees and doctorates simply believing in the Western systems which have kept us so poor. Would you ask yourself why a simple question? Why Africa, the richest continent, has got the poorest people on earth? Yet you are the richest continent. Senator, something is wrong, and you must question that.
Let's have a conversation, Senator. Okay. Now ask, maybe you respond, and then allow us to go to the next question.
Yes, okay.
But Senator, do you think that the vision that you hold will be enough for you to romp to presidency at this point?
It might not, because people need to learn more. But let me give you practical examples where my vision is produced benefits for the people. China developed an Afro-Chinese centric system. Not Afro, a Chinese-centric system of governance. They developed it. Where the Chinese sat down and say, we want to govern ourselves along this way. And China today, in terms of cash flow, is the richest richest country on earth. They developed a Chinese-centric system of governance, which got the roots and the cultures of the Chinese people, their own systems, and they are sitting pretty. The Western world developed their own systems as well, which have their own cultures, and they are sitting pretty. In Africa, there is a country that has realized that, which I can give you as an example, is Rwanda. The Rwandan government is run by more than 5 political parties. So that after an election, they don't continue to fight against each other. After an election, they come together and move in the same direction.
So you are hoping that whoever wins will accommodate you?
That is what we need to do. kuti kumusha taita chinyi, taita governance system yainzi nimbe. Kana kuti Ilima, what was the governance system of Ilima in Ndebele, in the Nimbe or Ume in Shona? They wait for the people, not for power. They wait for the people, working together, having the same vision, same direction, is for the people. So governance system that I'm trying to introduce here, talking about here, is about the people, not for power. Power becomes secondary in my vision. It is the economic challenges of Pagma which I'm worried about, because the young people that are in this country today, they have no bright future.
I read somewhere where it was saying that you have called for people to rally behind Nelson Chamisa. Did you read that?
I read about that. I'm a peacemaker by nature. I'm not antagonistic in nature. Yes, of course, the journalists would write whatever they want, probably interpreting the way they would want, but I don't want to go into those debate, because at the end of the day, I want the people of Zimbabwe to benefit. I want the people of Zimbabwe to have the government of their choice.
In 2017, as we went to elections, in 2018, you were running behind the MDC alliance and wanting a united opposition. Now you are looking to have yourself in the opposition leading a presidency. What has changed in your mind from being a united opposition?
I personally, I'm a darling of an alliance. That's my nature. I put the people's lives first before mine. That's my nature. So
you're prepared to withdraw your presidency?
I would really wish if the alliance could have been formed, it would have been better for the people of Zimbabwe. If I was the biggest opposition party in the country, I would actually lead the alliance direction movement, because I do believe coming together, there's a high chance for us to
Who do you think is the biggest
change.
opposition in the country?
I am the biggest opposition in the country.
But you said if you were the biggest opposition.
Yes, of course. But I can tell you that's my wish. That's my desire to have an alliance. So because at the end of the day, if you have an alliance, your chances of cornering the Zanu PF government party, they are very high. Because the moment we are in splinter groups like what we are today, the Zanu PF government will take opportunity to do whatever they are best known for.
So you're going to lead a formation of
I would wish if that could take place. Only the days are too few, and I came out also just a few days ago. But I would really wish that the alliance be established for us to go to these elections.
Now, sitting there, and thinking a political party that is formed just 2 months before an election, what impact do you think you're going to have in this election? We are
looking beyond the 2020 elections. We are looking beyond that, but we have to start from somewhere, and we are starting from here. But we are looking at times beyond 2023.
Someone would argue that you have reached the afternoon of your political.
Let's see. It could be really the morning of the political career, because this is the time I'm in control of the direction. Let's see what will happen.
Over the past years that you have been chairperson of the MDC and Douglas Monzora has been the president of the MDCT, you seem to have accused Nelson Chamisa of dictatorship. Was it any better in the MDC with your president, Douglas Monzora?
No, Nelson Chamisa was very clear on what he wanted. He didn't want to go for the Congress by then. So he was principled on this position. The difference between Nelson and Douglas are that Douglas would pretend to have a Congress which is infested with riggers. Like the last Congress that we had, it was not a Congress at all, and that is where we broke chains. It is from that Congress I've never attended this meeting to express my disappointment on what I thought was democracy.
You have said...
But as a leader, I don't want to dwell much on those small differences. I always want people to realize that at the end of the day, unity is the key. Coming together is the key. I don't want people to spend most of the time on the past, because as we move, people learn.
Okay, let us leave these squabbles in the MDC and look at Zimbabwe for a moment and say, what do you think is the path that we're taking as a nation?
At the moment, if you look at what is taking place in Zimbabwe, the future is oblique, is opaque. The economy is in a state in which we're going to suffer more. And the solution to the economic challenges that we are today is hazy.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa disputes that.
He can do so.
He's creating a $12 billion mines economy, that there is movement in terms of development. The road network is improving. Zimbabwe is open for business. Massive investment is coming in. Dams are being constructed, and so forth and so on.
Yes, of course, you would say that because he's the man in charge. But us as the victims or the beneficiaries of the economy, we see it different, because the economy is not improving. The economy is actually declining. And right now, if you look at the exchange rate, if you look at our salaries, the power of the dollar and everything else, they are not bearable. Okay, not things are improving. We're going to see things are improving. Things are not improving at all.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa believes that.
You would say that because he's the leader. But we are observers. We are experiencing what is happening on the economy.
The president says it's being sabotaged.
No.
He said the opposition is sabotaged.
That's why we are here. We are providing alternative. A governance system that will make things move.
An alternative
the governance system that will be inclusive in nature, where if ever they are going to be saboteurs, they won't be able to sabotage things in which they are involved. Winner take all systems. People always have excuses. Don't believe in winner take all systems. Be inclusive in your approach. Respect other people's ideas, whether opposition or not.
But can you just answer this question? Why are you sabotaging the president and the economy?
I'm not sabotaging the president.
You're in opposition. He says
I'm not sabotaging the opposition. I'm actually in opposition to enhance and to improve with ideas. That's what I'm talking about. Governance systems of our culture. Governance system that is inclusive in nature. A governance system that would make sure that we remove any minds and ideas of sabotage. What would you think in practical terms? For example, let's take the results of 2018. The Zanu PF won elections with 2.2 million. And the MDC Alliance lost with 2.1 million. If you are a leader of normalcy, don't throw away the 2.1 million. I'm just being academic, taking the figures that are there. So that's being academic. If you're a leader, that is the future. Don't leave that figure out, because if you leave it out, we go back to they'll oppose you.
But there was Pollard.
What is Pollard? What is Pollard?
And the 2.1 million could have been accommodated in Pollard, don't you think?
What is Pollard? I mean, the system that you establish of governance must be inclusive in nature, so that you carry along the 2.1 million people. Don't throw them away. If you throw them away, they will oppose you. They will not support your vision. So both 2.2 and 2.1 are in magnitude way. They are actually similar forces. They are equal forces. So any good, clever president would always want to work with the 2.1 million.
So you're saying President Emmerson?
No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not. I'm saying that. I'm saying that if it was me, I wouldn't let the 2.1 million go away. I will not do that. I will make sure that I will find mechanisms. Absolutely, I will introduce systems that are inclusive in nature. Systems that are this idea that I'm selling to people right now. It's a new idea that I've learned out of the government of Rwanda, the government of the Chinese government. That inclusivity in everything that you do. Do not take election results to be to hate each other. You go in election to establish a president, but immediately after establishing the president, bring those ones that have contested elections on board and form government of national unity, so that they would contribute positively to your vision. You would thank them. If they are doing that in Rwanda, if they are doing that in France, in Italy, if they are doing that in Belgium, if they are doing that in some different parts of the country, where after opposing, in Germany, after opposing each other, they form government of national unity. What are they? Why are they doing so? They don't want to unnecessarily get opposition, because opposition during governance processes would always sabotage you. So even Europe, it's moving away from winner-take-all systems.
Let's talk about the current laws that we're going to use to run this election. Do you think that they'll be adequate and sufficient to deliver a free and fair electoral result?
We are getting into this election as a way of exposing the weaknesses of the systems, which is part of the struggle, because we must have evidence of how the weaknesses of these systems are. But I can tell you, in the first place, calling for presidential candidates to pay $20,000 is absurd. It's absurd. Because the $20,000 could have been used quite favorably by opposition political parties to campaign. But here we have a system which is going to impose such kind of high fees from $1,000 to $20,000. It's undemocratic. It has been unheard of for a system like this to be effected in a democratic country. That is evidence that the system is very exclusive in nature. So why would the whole government move away from $1,000 per presidential candidate to $20,000? That's wrong. That's bad. How many opposition political parties will be able to raise $20,000? How many? So that is very exclusive in nature, and that is very undemocratic, and that is repressive in nature. And these are the systems that we are saying, instead of our democracy instead of advancing our democracy, we are reversing our democracy. We've lost the gains of what we had fought for.
Let's talk about the voters' roll. Are you happy with it?
The voters' roll, everything that is along the election thing, my friend, is something which is privately run.
By who?
By ZiG. Zimbabwe is still a long way to go in as far as established democracy is concerned, full democracy is concerned. We are still a long way to go. The voters' roll itself, the way it is done. Is it an independent body, as per the constitution? Can they challenge Zanu PF leadership? Can the ZiG chairperson stand up against the Zanu PF president? Can they? Can the courts of this country ever rule a case against Zanu PF government? Can the courts of this country ever rule? They won't rule against them. So we are still very far away in as far as democracy is concerned in Zimbabwe. We are still miles away from really having a fully fledged democratic process in Zimbabwe. Because right now, ZiG has no capacity to go against the wishes of Zanu PF. Right now, the courts have no capacity to rule against the Zanu PF decision in as far as the elections are concerned. They don't have. So we are still in a struggle to democratize these processes. We still need to do a lot of work.
So from what you're saying, what is the hope? What is the hope for Zimbabwe?
Zimbabwe, that's why we are in a continuous declination. We are declining continuously economically. We are still very far away to achieve full democracy in as far as elections are concerned.
You pay 20,000 into this process, Senator.
That's why,
and you don't have any confidence.
That's why It's part of the war. It's part of the we need to establish evidence.
You could build a house, you know.
We need to collect evidence. And if you don't participate in a war, you will have no evidence.
But you could build a house.
Yes, because I agree with you. A very good house. But we have to fight governing systems, because the governing system will set the future for ourselves right now and our kids that are still young. We need to fight. We need to have people that will fight.
If you lose in this election, if you don't win in this election, do you think you should continue in politics, or it's time to share?
I will have let down my kids. I still have the energy to fight for them. The governing systems in Zimbabwe.
Don't you think they also have energy to fight for you while you sit in the back?
Let's fight together. The time will come when I'm feeling worn out. I will retire and then they'll continue. But for now, I still have the energy to be part of them, to fight for a proper governing system, to fight for proper democracy, to fight for their rights, because they are victims. When I look at the young people today, I see no hope, because the economy is declining. When we grew up, when we were still at their age, we were assured of jobs as an apprentices, as whatever, everything was available. We would do whatever we wanted in life, join journalism, whatever. Things were quite affordable during our time. And our kids, as they grow right now, they are victims of governance failure. And we need to fight to help them.
You raise an important, something that's important, that when you're growing up, you had all these opportunities to professions of your choice.
Yes.
Many people would want to know, sitting there, that have you ever had any profession outside politics?
Yes, of course. I'm a trained instrument and control technician with ZESA. I know how to cook electricity, from its basics to lighting. I am a qualified instrument technician that has worked for ZESA for 23 years, 24 years actually. So I got that knowledge
something that you never really shared.
Electricity generation. I was trained by ZESA, and I worked at Wange Power Station as instruments and controls foreperson quite for some time. So that's my profession. And nature pulls you out from there. When I was at the power station in Wange, I started to be political. And from there I was ejected out of the electricity generation processes to politics. So that's my background in terms of my knowledge, qualifications and knowledge.
And your children, what do they do?
They are there. I got 4 children. One child is in Australia. He's married with 1 child. The second born is here in Harare. She's a lady with the 3 children. The other 2 young ladies are not yet married, but they are here in Harare. They are working somewhere here in Harare.
So your struggle is not for your family at the moment?
My struggle is for the people of Zimbabwe. And I do believe right now that's my right time. When people have ever seen me struggling for change in Zimbabwe, this is my peak. I want to force, probably not to force using force, but I want to influence the change of governance. The change of governance style, not only in Zimbabwe, in Africa. Africa is using a wrong governance system. That is why we are poor. Yet we are residing over a very powerful economy. Under Africa's source.
I think you've all made that point, but let us talk about your pledge to speak out and demonstrate on behalf of Job Sikhala. What is it that you're going to do? And maybe if you could give us timeline.
I've already started. From the time I introduced this new outfit, my first speeches in all the interviews was the call for the release of Job Sikhala. And the call for the release of Jacob Ngaruvume.
I mean, that's not new. What is new that you're going to bring in? Because there's been serious calls.
I am going to be organizing as I strengthen my outfit. I'm just 3 days old, but I've already introduced the topic, the agenda, the free Job Sikhala call, free Jacob Ngaruvume's call, because whatever they committed is not worth the punishment that they are going through.
We have students from the University of Zimbabwe or from NASU who allegedly demonstrated, because I'm not sure if it's them who demonstrated because they're denying it, but they allegedly demonstrated for the release of Job Sikhala. Right now they've been denied bail. They are in prison. Right, you are aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware about that. I'm aware about that.
You are prepared to join them.
And it's actually unfair.
You are prepared to join them in prison?
After 43 years of independence, we have these jail sentences still taking place. I don't believe it. Which means we're actually going in an autocratic state. And we must stand up and fight for our rights. We as Zimbabweans have the right to voice out when something is going wrong in Zimbabwe. When the government is failing to do things to save the people's lives, the people of Zimbabwe must have the right to express themselves.
Are you prepared?
I am prepared
to join
that's the difference between me and the leaders that you've been seeing for the past. I am prepared to die for the people of Zimbabwe. I've gone through a lot, and I thought we've achieved some changes. I thought
just to lose the seat of
no. I am prepared. Don't misjudge strategy and quietness. Don't do that. Those are two different. Sometimes you have calculate value. Usapa munhu mbiri asina. Usapa munhu simbara rano feel like why would this man do this? Want to go to real things like the one that we're talking about right now. We need to make sure that the Zimbabwean movement of opposition is strengthened. That's why I need for the people of Zimbabwe to find each other when necessary, to forgive each other, and come out and form a formidable movement to stand up against this government. The situation that Job Sikhala is under and Job Prpmotion is under it's supposed to have happened during probably my early days of opposition politics, not now.
Senator, we are fast running out of time, but we'll just take this break, and when I come back, I want to ask the senator what his cabinet would look like if he wins this election, and I also give him an opportunity to share a message from his heart. Now, this will always be the free talk with me, your host, as usual, Dara Blessed Ncube, in proud partnership with the Frederick Newman Foundation. Now, this is the conversation that matters. Join me just after this break. Welcome back to this, the Free Talk in proud partnership with the Frederick Newman Foundation. With me, your host as usual, Dara Blessed Ncube, and we are talking politics, people, and democracy. We are talking about the presidential candidates, their vision, their hope, and what they hope to achieve now. Zimbabwe votes, August 2023 in 2023. With me in studio is Senator Morgan Komichi. Now, Senator, let's talk about if you win this election. What will your cabinet look like? The
cabinet will be inclusive in nature. I don't believe in winner take all as a party. I don't believe in that. I'll have to consider other political parties for purpose of inclusivity. I'll even go beyond political parties and knock doors at some of these powerful, strong civil society organizations and other stakeholders to make it inclusive. Because I want everybody to focus on the economic growth and development, to forget about the political struggles that we've gone through. I want to transform the culture in the mind of the people, to focus on the lives of the young people. The young people have lost hope, they have no future, because the Zimbabwean economy is declining.
Senator, talk about the economy. Who would you put as your Minister of Finance?
No, we would help each other to come out the best, but they definitely would. I cannot mention the name now. It is too early for me to say that. But we need the best Minister of Finance to take the reins and make sure that as long as the system is inclusive, with less resistance, the growth and prosperity of our country is assured. Evidence has shown every time we have an inclusive setup. From 1980, we had a positive economic growth. 1987, when we had ZAP and ZANU coming together, we had a positive economic growth. 2008, when we had the inclusive government, the economic growth was very visible. Every time we are not inclusive in nature, our economies go down. So that's my lessons. So that's what I want to do.
Do you think Minister Mthuli Ncube has been a good finance minister in Zimbabwe? Looking at all the finance ministers we have had, Candidacy, Patrick Chamisa, and the like. Minister
Mthuli is a good young man who is operating in a system that is very retrogressive. A system of individualistic tendencies. The winner-take-all systems will not make economic growth in Africa. And economic growth in Africa is assured only when you go to have an inclusive nature. Evidence that I have is Rwanda. That's my evidence. In China, those are the evidence that I have.
How many ministers would you have, Senator?
As we start, we must have enough ministers to cater for the different needs. Yes, of course. I cannot give you. I cannot give you then let's say 25 or 30 because I'll be very selfish in nature. I need to also work with others. But we must have to cover all the interest groups that are necessary for the economic growth of this country to bring peace, unity, and shared vision.
Your vision. Would you want a big cabinet, a small cabinet? What would you?
As we start, you might find that. You lose nothing by having an inclusive big cabinet. But when the output becomes very huge in nature, because you need to cover the interests of various groups so that you then harness the common agenda aspect where people focus on the thing. They might start as if the number is big, but the output of the economic growth, because of the unity, the peace, and the shared vision, the output will balloon in such a way that the numbers could be more, but it won't matter much.
What would be your strategic pillars in restarting Zimbabwe? What pillars would you be looking at?
At the moment, if you look at what is happening right now, the economy itself has reached the bottom end. So whatever you need to do, we need to arrest the decline. Is the first thing. Arrest the decline, stabilize it, making sure that within 100 days, you set up a system that will make sure that the economy.
What's this fascination with 100 days with politicians? There's a fascination.
It's just a time just to fix up your 100 days, whatever. Is that what has been established? But anyway, 100 days is just a word. Could be 200 days, could be 300 days. But the idea is that you are focusing on something which is very crucial, which is stabilization of the economy. Right now, the economy of Zimbabwe is really nosediving.
We are running out of time, so I just want you to go quickly over the pillars that you are, the economy and what else?
You need to make sure that there is peace in this country. Peace in this country. Unity is very key in this country. And you also need to make sure that this country is open to international engagement. At the moment, it's isolated. This country is isolated. It's regarded as a pariah state. We need to deal with those issues, in the international relations issues. I think just for this particular interview, those three areas would make us be recognizable in our economy. Now, in the family of the economies.
Your vice president?
They are not for the public consumption for now. No, not for now.
Because it matters to the voters.
Not for now, because I'm talking of an inclusive setup. So the inclusive setup itself will determine.
Could Vice President as President Emerson Mbudzi or Nelson Chamisa?
If the people so wish, why not? If it's going to be a strategic balance of our collective approach and unity, why not really? I don't take personal grudges. I want something which is positive for the people of Zimbabwe. I have no problem with Comrade Emerson Mnangagwa or Comrade Nelson Chamisa. I don't have any problems at all, as long as we are going to work collectively together for the good of the people of Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Senator, for joining me. But just before you go, I will ask you to look at the people of Zimbabwe just quickly under a minute and tell them what they are going to expect from you, or a message from your heart that you'd want to share with our viewers here on on the free talk?
My candidature is the answer to the economic challenges of this country, political, social challenges of this country. Because I am a strong believer that a government that's going to be run from individualistic political party will not give us positive result. I'm a strong believer that all key people in the political arena must be part of the government. I don't want to pursue the past in the history. I want to, most that will forge towards the future. Forgive each other on whatever happened before. What is most important is to look at the lives of the young people that are before us today. Their future is oblique. Us as old people, senior citizens, we must put our differences aside, come together and form a governance system that is inclusive in nature. We are sick and tired of following a cake winner-take-all systems that were left by the Western world. We must develop systems that are Afrocentric in nature, that we need to develop with the African originality and African culture and move forward. We must go back to our roots. And wherever there were differences, let's forgive each other and let us come together for the good of our children that are today languishing in abject poverty with the oblique future.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Senator Morgan Komichi, Baba Abraham. You have, over the years, been the presidential chief agent for Morgan Tsvangirai, Nelson Chamisa, and now you're doing it for yourself. Now we will be watching and seeing where you're going to take this race to here on Heart and Soul TV and radio as a media house and as the program of choice for all things politics, economy, and social interactions in our people. This is the free talk. This is where we tell you what matters. This is where you hear the alternative voice. This is the platform where everybody talks freely. This is the free talk. With me, your host as usual, Dara Blessed Mhlanga, here in proud partnership with the Frederick Newman Foundation for Freedom. Until next time, thank you for joining us and for choosing us as your station of choice.
Yeah, thank
Zimbabwe was to elections.
Thank you so much to all the listeners. Thank you so much to Blessed for giving me this opportunity to share my vision and my aspirations, my interaction with the people of Zimbabwe. I am your hope.
Your song, you could sing us.
Magorogoto Aburama, Magorogoto Isagi, Magorogoto Jacobi, Vanuvenya Vaunga, Mwayamuchene Chiburuka, Doda Kufamba Parwendo, Mwayamuchene Chiburuka, Doda Kufamba Parwendo, yeah. Amen.
This is Free Talk.
Mochane nyuana babai, Jimmy Magaramba kuderera majo, Nodiwana musiki, Jona Igas.